Good
ね、
evening, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful event with the Virtual Tasting Society. Tonight, we are proud to feature Ohishi Whiskey from Japan, Chris Udhe, and I'm sorry I can't read Japanese.
his name
So,
is Kazu. Kazu.
Katsu.
はい。こんにち
His name
は。
is
こんにちは。お願いします。I'm 和則大石。
he is Kazunori Oishi. He's the sixth generation distiller for Ohishi Distillery, Rokudaime ne. And he just wanted to pop in to say hello to everyone and thank you for trying his whiskeys today. Does ちょっと早きます。おやさん大丈夫です。Do you have a does anyone have like a question that they can think about at the gate that they would like to ask him? I can answer most things, but seeing as how he's taking a day off, which is well deserved because he just spent 2 weeks with me in California working his butt off. I would interpret it and then we'll let him go back to the game. Oh, 大石さん見る？ヘンリックさんのTokubetsu Reserve. Henrik, could you speak so your screen pops up?
Thank you. Thank you.
And then Golan, I think, is going to get his as well.
Testing. I'm here.
Yeah, you're here.
Oh, thank you.
ほら、Golan さんとヘンリックさん、ヘンリックさん2本買いました、コスコで。
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, and I love the story on this, and I'm sure, Chris, you're gonna get into the story on this particular bottling. But but I love the story.
彼はこのその瓶は大好きよ。
Yep. And given
sorry,
I was born in 75 as well, it's all good.
彼も1975瓶です。
Oh.
Same age.
Yep.
同じエイジ。
Equally old.
Does anyone else like? It's kind of like it's one of those things where I kind of texted him saying, "Hey, this was going to start. If there was a chance that you could pop in to say hi, do it." And so clearly, it means a lot to him to stop his golf game to pop in to say hi to everybody.
So I do have a question for Kazu-san. So on the tasting notes for the event, it's interesting because I was reading it and it says Ohishi makes a whiskey for export markets only, not to be considered a Japanese whiskey. It is a whiskey that is distilled, matured, and bottled in Japan. It seems like a very big disclaimer. And honestly, if I'm, hearing about something that's distilled, matured, and bottled in Japan, I would think it's a Japanese whiskey. So why the need for that?
So I'll answer that question in English in a second, Benno, because I'm the one who writes that disclaimer. Does anyone else have any questions I need to interpret? If not, I'm going to let him go back to playing because I can see he stopped everybody for you guys. So I can tell him to pop back in like 20 minutes if you want.
If he'd like, we are always happy to have people visit. So.
ねえ、おいさん。本当にありがとう。ちょっとズームをしましたね。で、大丈夫です。今からでも、後で35後で30分ぐらい、何でもいい、もう一回ズームをしましょうね。
OK。
おいさん、ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
So Benno, let me answer your question. And but first let me say for all of you guys, Oisan didn't know about this tasting until like 5 minutes ago, to be honest. He was in town. We tried to originally do this while he was in town. You guys had a conflicting event, so we pushed the Oisan thing. And he did, like, you can imagine standing in American stores for 2 weeks, 8 hours a day. It wears you out. So for this one, because my Japanese is not great, because we wouldn't have an interpreter, I kind of let him do his thing. And I talked to Vadim about it. He's like, yeah, you can do it. And the reason why I can do it is like with Benno's question about the legal disclaimer. So in Japan, whiskey is defined by tax laws. It's not defined by anything other than tax laws. And the tax laws are a little bit strange. And they're a kick in the balls, to be honest. So the way that they're written, it works like this. The stuff like if you want to grab a glass and pour one, go ahead and grab a glass and pour it. I see Kate's got one. His stuff qualifies as, well, the stuff that we're going to drink tonight qualifies as whiskey in multiple countries. Like it's qualifies as a whiskey in Sweden. It would qualify in the UK. It would qualify in Australia. It would qualify like in most parts of the world, like in the US and Canada, everywhere, except for Japan. And the reason why it doesn't qualify in Japan is because the license, his distillery license predates the word whiskey in Japan. Actually, his comes a little bit after, but they hadn't quite established the license yet. Fukano-san predates the word whiskey even ever being spoken in Japan, if that makes sense. So it's just a different thing. Now, for a full transparency of how fuckery it is, Oi-san stuff, this what we're having today is made from rice. If it was over 45% ABV, and if it was blended 90% this and then 10% imported malt whiskey or 10% domestically distilled malt whiskey, it would qualify as whiskey in Japan. That's the way the law is written.
Huh.
They just want to have like a malted, they don't count koji as malting, even though it technically is doing the same thing. It's creating the amylase needed for fermentation and the saccharification of the starches into sugars, basically doing the exact same thing, but in their tax laws, they write malted, like as in malted barley is what they're referring to. So if it was 10% that, 90% this, it would qualify as whiskey, but because it's 100% distilled from rice that either he grows or is grown in the prefecture, like around his farm, it's a different category in Japan, which is basically a non-category. If it was on Okinawa, it would be fine, but it's not. It's in Kumamoto, so it's not fine. That's how weird the laws get, if you will. You can still use rice to make whiskey in Japan. You just got to have a 10% malted barley as part of that blend. Now, Oi-san does make a single malt whiskey as well, and I'll show you guys a picture of that later on, Jane, if you'll make me a co-host. Across the street from his other distillery, but he had to build an entire new facility to be able to do that because, again, the laws are fuckery. If he was in Honshu, he could have put a still up right next to his other still and he'd have been fine. But because he was in Kumamoto, they made him build an entire separate building to put the malt whiskey still in. And then even then, it's just malt whiskey. So he's distilled from corn in the past. They've used rice. Rice is primarily what they use because that's what they grow. And then now he does it from malt. And a funny story is for you guys to know, and if I'm jumping around a lot and I'm going fast, and it's because I've drank with a few of you before. I'm treating this more like a social gathering than like some type of class. So if I'm skipping or if you think you want me to clarify anything, please just speak up. And I assume everyone's drinking a whiskey now at this point, right? Like pour a brandy cask, try the two brandy casks side by side, or do a brandy cask next to the Tokubetsu Reserve. But the Tokubetsu Reserve is one you should revisit throughout the entire night. So nose it, very small sips, come back to it, nose it, very small sips. And the reason why is because of how that's made. Now I've lost my train of thought.
We're on the building a separate building for the malt distillery.
Yeah, so building a separate building for the malt, he had to do that. And then the distilling of the rice. Well, the funny story I was going to tell you was they actually grow a lot of barley in Kyushu. Nagasaki, Oita, Fukuoka, they are all known for growing barley. Yet as far as I know, in Kyushu, which is the island in the south of Japan, there's not a single malting facility. So they have no way to malt that barley. And the reason why they don't have a way to malt that barley is the idea of malting barley in the sense that you guys know it, that's a Scottish thing. That's not a Japanese thing. That's something that was imported by the Japanese back in the 1920s to mimic Scotland, not necessarily Japan's style of distillation. Oi-san's style of distillation dates back to 1546. It's almost 500 years old, and that's the Japanese style of distillation being introduced to the country.
Chris, if I might, I was with Roland from Kanosuke, and how much of this could you talk about maybe these regulations or differences are sort of driven by shochu in Japan and sort of the protection of shochu, I think, as a distilled spirit.
So it's you know, that gets into the ether, and because I don't speak Japanese fluently, I'm not, and best I get is like drinking Japanese and side stories. I don't really have it becomes a he said, she said thing. I do know that it wasn't, if you hear the shochu producers talk about it, it was never a protection of shochu. It was actually a protection of people that were trying to mimic Scotland. Because it used to be back in the 1980s that you could bottle shochu at a dark color, and it was just kind of its own thing. And then Margaret Thatcher formed a coalition to go over and renegotiate Scotch whiskey import tariffs into Japan. And basically, there was a $6 billion trade deficit between the UK and Japan. And she goes, either you take away the Scotch whiskey import tariffs, or we're going to put tariffs on electronics coming out of Japan. And so the Japanese government folded to her request and did that. But one of the side steps to that was, and she goes, oh yeah, and by the way, this native spirit you have that's aged in oak cask and looks and tastes like whiskey, well, that can't be, you got to do something to remove that you got to do something to change what that is. So like Oisan's family at the time was making what you guys are drinking now. They've been making it since the 1970s. And so then they did the shochu regulation of where it can't be at a dark color. So shochu has to be able to be hit with a light, and it can't reflect too many particles of the light back, or it's not qualified as shochu anymore. And it goes into a different category. Now, who's protecting who and how all that works, who knows? But you'll see that some of the whiskeys you have tonight are pretty dark. And so the best qualification form really is whiskey, right? A distilled spirit made from grain, aged in an oak cask, and that's what it is. So you can, again, it goes back to the license, right? If he can make this exact same stuff over across the street in his whiskey still, and they would call it whiskey, in so long as he put 10% malted barley in it, versus across the street and doing all his locally owned grain, koji, yeast and everything, and then they just say, well, you can export it as whiskey, but you can't bottle this whiskey for here. It's a strange thing. And the different stills have different licenses attached to them. And the stainless steel pot still where this is made is this is how fucked up the law is, right? I told you if it was over 45%, you could call it whiskey. The legal limit he's allowed to go to out of that still is 45%. So it's a tax law from, I guess, fire. No one even knows that the answer to that question. They don't know if it's a fire code thing or why the top was limited to 45%. I had a lunch with the Oita tax agency back in February, where it's like, 10 very serious looking dudes in business suits at a very fancy place. The government was sponsoring a trip for me to go over there. And the first question I asked her, the interpreter, I was like, why is the cap at 45? And none of them could answer me. And some of them started texting and emailing. And at the end of this hour-long dinner, still no one had an answer. It's just something that's existed for hundreds of years. And it just kind of is, it just is what it is, right? You just don't, I don't know. That's the best answer I got for you, Benno. And that is a long ass winded. That's a 17-minute answer to a simple question.
Great answer. Great info. Because that's, I mean, the whole big thing. And I think there's a little bit of like this, I want to call it controversy, but this question whenever I talk to people, and it's also still a little unclear because like when you're drinking Japanese whiskey, you hear, oh, like it's not really Japanese whiskey, right? And it's like, what does that actually mean? And then here you have a product that's, distilled, matured, bottled in Japan, and you can't call it Japanese whiskey. It seems a little ironic, right?
Yeah, I don't have fucking time for all those games, because at the end of the day, in '89 when that tax thing happened, the first thing that happened after that was Nika went and bought the Ben Nevis distillery, and then we all know that's Nika from the barrel was basically Ben Nevis. They've admitted to it, and it's absolutely delicious. It's one of my favorite, but we all consider that to be Japanese whiskey. So what is Japanese whiskey if not something that's just been beautifully blended and represents like balance and balance and richness and depth of flavor and
tradition in this case, right?
Yeah.
Like they have a long tradition of doing this, like you said, right?
Yes, and they've been distilling since 1872. He's the 6th generation distiller, and and his father started putting stuff in cask. In 1970s. What happened was before that, the casks weren't available. They used to use clay pots, or they would use ceramic, cast iron. And in the 1970s, Ariake Sangyo means company. Ariake is a cooperage. Ariake Sangyo cooperage was built down in Miyazaki Prefecture. And they were built to service the Takata. Takara? I think it's Takara Shuzo, which is a very, very big facility. And Oisan's father was one of their first customers. So he's now they service a whole bunch of different distilleries, but he was one of the first people in the region to start to try to experiment with that. And the cask only became available to him in the 70s. So that's why they started then.
But to your point, it's one thing that you can't call this Japanese whiskey, but you can't even say this is whiskey distilled in Japan. You can't even distilled in age. You can't even say that because you can't call it whiskey, right?
We can call it whiskey. That's
I mean,
the thing.
we can here in the United States.
Yes,
Right.
But we can anywhere in the world except for in
Japan.
And
Right.
if his distillery was located in Okinawa, we probably could there too.
Right, but you can't put on your website, right? Because I assume the website is Japanese based, and therefore, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kate. I want to listen to you finish, but make sure
I
I get it right.
I was just thinking if it's a company that's based in Japan and you're advertising for it, I would think Japanese laws don't permit you to say even call it whiskey on the website.
So
very weird.
On his website, no, it's okay. On his website, they do not refer to this product. On the Ohishi Whiskey website, which we run out of the United States, but it's promised to him anytime he wants it because ImpEx is cool like that. We do say it. We just try to be as transparent as possible. And and there again, it's really, it's also one of those things where it's on everybody's radar, right? Like it's on Suntory's radar, it's on the government's radar. Anything we're doing it's not like, we've been around for 10 years. If somebody really had a problem with it and wanted to shut it down, they would have. But I think there's a general understanding amongst everybody that, at least with what Oisan and with what Fukano-san are doing, that they're trying to raise awareness of the beauty of Japanese distillate to markets that are very much not familiar with Japanese stuff. And so I think everyone's like, all right, just be above board. Don't try to say we don't call ourselves a single malt. We do say single distilled. And it just, who knows, man. I still think it's, it's one of those where, given what rum can do and given some of the lack of transparency in bourbon, I feel like we're trying to be cool about everything, if that makes sense. And where I'll get on my soapbox, I'll say this, both Fukano Distillery and Ohishi Distillery now have malt facilities where they can make single malt whiskey. And that was built on the back of the Koji Whiskey Project. And so everyone that's been a hater for the last 10 years, well, what the fuck have they done to, give diversity in the space so that people can try the full extent of what Japan can be as far as single malt goes, right? Like you have all these wonderful distilleries popping up. They're all going to have their own signature. These guys have their own signature as well. And it was directly financed by this project. So I hope that everyone realizes what we all want. I think one of the best things about Scotch whiskey and one of the best things about bourbon is the diversity of the signature of the still and of the producer. And so we have that, or we're getting that. So I think that's kind of cool.
Is there any current regulation or definition then right now officially of Japanese whiskey by anyone? Because I heard there's an informal agreement among the big producers, like Beam Suntory and whomever. Like, is that true?
Yeah, so there's the Japanese Distilled Spirits and Liquor Association, which is basically it's a coalition, right? Those are people who have, it's not a government agency. It's it's just a group of guys who got together and said, this is what we are going to do from our side. And that's what it is. But those are all people who kind of came in a little bit ahead of the game, right? Because they like to give you guys scope, right? The first whiskey license in Japan was issued in 1919, and that was to I want to say Gashima or someone, but they didn't even build their first set of stills until 1963. So they sat on a whiskey license for 40 years, and they sold whiskey without actually distilling any whiskey. So, you know, it's like let's not look at the back, let's not look in the past, let's look at where things are going and where it can be good. And you know, and if people don't like what Oisan's doing, they can just buy something else, right? Like it's not an expensive investment. Like it goes at Costco for $39.99. And so for something that is still like made from a locally grown grain in Japan with a signature of a 6th generation distiller, to be at that price seems pretty fair. And like you guys are going to drink the port cast tonight, right? That's a 97-point whiskey in San Francisco Spirits competition, blind tasting. So aside from the semantics of some politicians doing whatever the fuck they're doing, you know, clearly the general population that has a pretty good experience in the category gives it pretty high regard. So let's just enjoy it. I mean, shit, Henrik didn't call me to yell at me after he got his bottle, so I feel like I'm 10 steps in the right direction there.
Right. No, I mean, to me, and to kind of build on what you just said, I mean, I'm always kind of like, I know several whiskey nerds, right? Oh, I only drink single malt. I drink, if it tastes good, you can blend it for, or you can have it, you know, single malt. You can have it out of a single barrel. You can have it out of a vat. I don't care as long as it's good.
Yeah. So we're having the Brandy cast right now and the Tokubetsu Reserve. I'll tell you about both of them, the Brandy and the Brandy 10-year. Now this, if anyone wants to get mad at me, this is where you can where I get a little hornswaggly, because when we put the cast together for these, we don't always have some of the stock is older than you would think it is, if that makes sense, right? So the Brandy cask is a no age statement. The Brandy cask 10-year is a 10-year. So if you had to guess, what will we probably put the Brandy cask at? You would guess like 3 or 4 years, right? Like we're trying to we get over the hump and we're ready to go. But that's not actually what happens. The Brandy cask no age statement is 8 years old all day long. So it's delicious, and it's like a lot less money per bottle, but it's but the 10-year carries the age statement because that's more like 12 to 13 years in the 10-year. But it's just kind of like that's where the labels were back when it started, but that's where the stock is now. So the Brandy cask is 8 years. It's ex-cognac cask. They're Hennessy barrels, and that's his father started when his father was doing this. It was mostly a combination of ex-cognac cask and ex-sherry casks, because those were the casks that were just the most available at the time, and that's carried through till now. But what's cool about the Brandy cask is what's cool about the distillate itself is that it's a pretty malleable distillate, right? It's a little bit light to start with. They use 5 types of yeast that are used, all Kumamoto specific yeast, and he uses 5 types of rice. He uses Ginosato, Gokyakumangoku, Hino Hikari, Mochi rice because that's a high sugar content, and Yamada Nishiki rice. He grows, I think, all 5 types, but he specializes in Yamada Nishiki rice because he has contracts with a sake producer called Dasai. If you're familiar with them,
Great sake.
Pretty big. Yeah,
Great
sake.
sake.
A little bit on the expensive side. Very good sake producer. They buy his rice every year and have for years because Kumamoto is known for making really, really good Yamananishi rice. Now it's too hot in Kumamoto there's a few sake producers, but really the temperatures get so warm that it makes it difficult to produce sake, which is why they shipped it over to distillation back in the 1500s, because it was a way to get a more consistent, like better product without the fear of the weather coming in and kicking you in the butt. But but the rice that they produce here is really good. Yeah, but anyways, brandy cask, like I always get notes of green apple, maybe a touch of pear. This one.
Can you talk about the 5 different strains of rice? Because people always get into nerdiness about barley and golden promise and 2-row and 6-row and stuff like that. And how does that kind of correlate, if at all, to the 5 different types of rice he's using for this?
So if I'm being honest, Benno, it's not something I know much of. Let me share my screen. And it's not something I know much about, right? Like I'm like you guys. I'm a dude who grew up, I'm from Georgia, for fuck's sake. I just learned how to speak proper English a few years ago when I moved here, and even now, not everyone understands what I'm talking.
But you have photos of the rice grains?
What I have is this is a general chart that Oisan gave me. Oh, sorry, that kind of explains what it is. And so Yamananishi, they just grow at different heights. It's just like with the barley, right? The stalk is going to be a little bit different. The height's going to be a little bit different. The yield is going to be a little bit different. I disagree with this a little bit. I mean, this is accurate, but I think this is a loose translation. So like Go Hyakuman light body with a fresh, clean taste, and Yamada Nishiki used to make more delicate styles of premium sake, especially Daiginjo. The way that I would describe it is, that's right. Yamada Nishiki is typically for Daiginjo sakes because you mill to the inner part, and that inner part gets to be kind of a fruit bomb. So Yamada Nishiki rice will give you like melon notes and apricot notes, and
which is, by the way, I can say why Desai 45 is always a hit whenever I have people try it. It has exactly all those fruit notes. It's a Jinmai Daiginjo and milled 55% away of the grain, so you're left with just the 45% inner part.
Yeah, and that's what Yamada Nishi is really good for. Go Hyakuman Goku, in my opinion, is more of an earthy rice, which is, I know that as I say it out loud, it sounds a little bit silly, but it gives like, it's usually used in Honjozo or just regular Junmai, and it provides like an earthy element to it. It's more robust. It's just got like a little bit of the field stays with it. Like it's really, really good for like you went Daiginjo with like, you really went Daiginjo with like lighter style fish, like white fish, or maybe I would do it with like white fish, like hamachi. But the Gohyakuman Goku is better for like oily or bigger foods. If you're going to have a little bit of meat in there and you use a lower quality sake, if you will, you get a better pairing because you get that more robustness of the Gohyakuman Goku rice. And of course, a little bit of the outer bran as well of the rice because they haven't milled it all the way down to the sugars.
You're talking about like white wines pairing with fish and chicken and red wines pairing with meat.
Feels like the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good parallel. Now in the distillation of these rices for Oisan, they only mill the outer 10%, right? They don't try to get it all the way down as much as you would for a sake. They're trying to harvest sugar. Like one of the components is mochi rice, and really the mochi rice is just because it has a very high starch content, so it can give you really good sugars for fermentation during the koji saccharification. So that's kind of where it goes. But as far as the detail between each of the specifics, I wish I had a better answer for you. I do have individual distillate from each of the rice that I probably should get around to drinking, but I'm an old man. This shit's hard.
I'll help you with that.
Yeah. I mean, it would be a fun thing. Maybe I'll bring it over to Henrik's one night. I lost my train of thought again, but they don't even keep track. So they don't even keep track of what's in what. So sometimes the rices are individually fermented and distilled, but then once it goes in the cask, there's no record of it kept. So it's you could have, and this was the thing where, like, of course, that was my first question when I realized that he was doing individual rice grain distillations, because I guess the harvest comes at a different time. So that's the way it kind of works. I was like, so which casks are which? He's like, we don't know. I was like, can you maybe start to keep track? He's like, we can try, and then we'll see whether or not he did. But that's maybe 36 months ago now, and it's so ironic that he's on a golf course, because my nickname for him is James Brown of whiskey, because he works harder than anybody I know. Like, he's like a Japanese Sam Phillips. And so to see him on a golf course is like just a rant. Like, I bet I picked the one day a year where he was trying to take a little bit of a break.
So,
to get
Chris,
him.
you said the key is that, unlike sake, where they're milling away the rice and removing most of the outside, when they do the milling, it's just no more than 10% then when they do the whiskey. So
Yeah. They just mill out the outer 10%.
interesting. So, I mean, then that probably normalizes a lot of the rices, right? So they're not maybe as different.
No. I still think that you know what? Again, Benno, I need to just try those samples and get back to you. I'm not going to lie to you. For those of you who don't know me, I don't pretend like I know what I don't know. Like, I'm too dumb to remember the lie. So I just tell you, I don't know. I need to figure it out. And I hope you can forgive me for not knowing, but that's the truth. It's like, I haven't, at the end of the day, it was a rabbit hole I started to go down, but then I had this epiphany of whiskey where, like, I really love whiskey. For those of you who don't know, I got in whiskey in 2007. Like, I've had them going back to the late 1800s. I've tried thousands of bottles because I'm in different clubs as well. And I kind of hit a point where I was like, just, I'm kind of like Henrik, fuck it, drink it. If it tastes good, enjoy it. And if it doesn't, move on. Like, everyone's different. That's the way it's got to be.
We'll forgive you if you let us try the individual rice distillates. That's how you'll get our forgiveness.
Yeah, I can ask him to bring it next time he comes to California. But the last time he came to California was 10 years ago. So who knows when he's going to be back. Or y'all can just go to Japan and go visit the distillery. I'm sure they have them there.
Yeah, there's that too. Now, I think it would be fascinating to taste the component rice whiskeys, just because I know so little about the rice whiskey style anyway. It would be really interesting to see what actually finally shows up in the blend, just the different pieces.
So it's crazy, right? Like, rice whiskey can get pretty out there. There are other brands of rice whiskey where the flavor profiles that they have are not necessarily what we would want to have in one of our bottles, but they're going for a different thing, right? So the thing with rice whiskey is, not only is it the rice, not only is it the yeast, and the yeast, remember, is prefecture specific or state specific. You have the koji, which can kind of throw things off. So you got three types of koji. You've got yellow, black, and shiro. And back 500 years ago, everything was black koji. And then I don't know when yellow koji came about, but it was maybe only 30, 40 years ago that white koji came about. So white koji was an offspring of black koji. I want to say maybe in the 60s is when it has 60s or 70s. So it's relatively new. But this is what it looks like. And basically, it's what it does is you sprinkle it onto any grain or any product for that matter. You can use it to dry age steaks, right? It does the same thing. And it's a mold, and of its 8,000 cousins or whatever it is the one that is just perfect for everything as far as cuisine goes. And it's been used in Asian cuisine for over 8,000 years. And it's been used in distillation for at least 500.
What does it do versus the yeast?
So it does do a little bit of a ferment. So like what it does is, this is actually the malting is what's happening here. It's the diastase process, and I can't say that right. But you sprinkle the mold on it and the mold seed, and you let it sit for 40 hours in a controlled environment. and the mold starts to grow and it converts the starches into sugar. But really what it gives you is amylase, which is needed for healthy fermentation. And so like if you guys go to, there's I can't remember, it's Bruto or something in Colorado. They have 2 koji dishes on their menu. They're a Michelin star place. If you go to, it's called Franson in Boulder, Frasca, Bobby Stuckey's place. They have 1 koji disc on the menu because this is where umami comes from. This mold is what they use to make soy sauce, what they use to make sake, what they use to make miso. Again, very fancy restaurants are now using it to bring umami to their food and to tenderize you can use it on plants, you can use it on meat, you can use it like it's like this universal godsend of a modifier to just make things better, right? It's like it's koji.
Yep. I'm just confused about one thing because you said the koji is doing the fermentation and it's producing the amylases, right?
So I don't mean to confuse you. Koji can do a little bit of fermentation, but the fermentation is being carried by the weight. You can see the next slide. You take rice, you steam the rice, you add the koji to it, you let it sit for 40 hours, and you have koji rice. You put that into a fermentation tank, and then you'll add yeast and water. And you'll let that sit for 7 days, and that's making you a moromi. So really the yeast is doing the conversion into alcohol. Okay. I think that koji can do it over a longer period of time, but that might have to do with more of a wild yeast coming into it and being on the seed ahead of time. But the yeast is really what's bringing in the alcohol content. So you let that sit for 7 days, you move it over into a secondary tank. You divide this into 3 parts. You divide it 1, 2, 3, and you go into 1, 2, 3, and then you add 2x on top of more steamed rice or any, as you would say, mashed grain, right? Like you just get that water content in it, and then you add more water, but since it's already cooking from the first 7-day fermentation, it goes, and that's a 14-day fermentation for the second fermentation. So now you have a 21-day fermentation, then you put it into distill, and you distill it, and then it goes into the cask.
Oh wait, so they're adding unkojied rice. So in a way,
yes.
Is that like Irish pot still whiskey where they use malted unmalted barley?
Yes, it is. You don't need to use 100% koji grain. It's not necessary. So that's another good parallel, and another reason why we don't ever refer to it as single malt, because while we consider the koji to do the malting process, like on a molecular level, it's kind of doing the same thing as malting. I sent it to a friend of mine who's a smart dude like that and is into chemistry, and he's like, yeah, it's basically the same thing. And I was like, so if someone had a problem with it on a legal standpoint, he's like, your argument would be pretty solid that it's doing the exact same thing. So yes, but it is only 1/3 malted grain to 2/3 unmalted grain. And that's the way it goes.
Interesting.
And it gets. Go ahead. I was going to say it gets even crazier, right? Because when you start to talk about the barley ones like Hakata, it's 1/3 koji barley to Oisan's back. 1/3 koji barley, 2/3 unmalted barley. Koji, Kazu-san, mimasen deshita. Gomen ne. Genki. Gorufu wa, how do you say, are you winning? How do you say, are you winning? How do you say, are you winning? Gorufu katteru ka? No. Can you guys see him? I don't know if you. Yeah.
Yes. He's visible in the golf cart.
Does anyone have any other? Yeah.
よかったよかった。いいとこだ。ちょっと打とうかな。
友達にゴルフするか？
Yes, yes.
ともこさんは？
このさんは、movie.
Movie. Okay. 映画です。
映画。
Do you guys have any questions for Oisan that I can try to interpret? This is for you guys to know. This is just him showing his respect to you for doing this, right? Like I surprised him with it, but because he's James Brown, he's going to totally stop what he's doing to pay respect. ねえ、おいさん。大丈夫、ゴルフするよ。皆さんは嬉しいですね。ありがとう。ズームをしました。
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. おいさん、何が知ってる Karitachi Ne? You want to know anything from them? No, you good?
Is
This
he?
is how bad my Japanese is.
I was gonna say, is he working on anything like cask like that he's excited about?
大井さん、ちょっと質問がある。新しいタル、
うん。
新しいのタイプタルは何ですか？何が内緒ですか？新しいのやつ。皆さん知りたい。
栗
栗、チェスナット。
そうそう。
大変ね。
ま
まだ全部買ったからね。
だ
まだ全部買いました。So he's already bought everything he can get. はい。
ジャストミニット、ちょっと待って。
I guess I would have one question if he's still available, which would just be
He's straight up putting.
he's straight up button knife. Because we've never had anyone do this before, right, Jane?
We've had people watching games and yelling at the TV with us, but not actually playing one at the same time. I mean, good for him.
I like that he's playing as opposed to just watching. Yeah.
Good shot, Oi-san.
すみません。
Yeah. 本当に皆さんは嬉しいですよ。Like, 大丈夫です。僕はそのテイストにするよね。
I would ask him what's his favorite Scotch distillery, not Japanese.
一番のスコッチウイスキーは何ですか？ I don't think you can hear me. I might have me muted. おいさん。
はい。
一番スコッチウイスキーは何ですか？一番スコッチウイスキー大好きは何ですか？
キーホーマン。
that's my boy. ありがとうございます。
I should have known.
天才ね。
ナンバーワン。
はい、ありがとう。じゃあ、またね。
またね。Thank you.
Arigato.
Arigato.
Thank you so much.
Bye. So, he does, when he was at my place, I had been saved. He really does love all Scotch. I had a little mini of a 1968 Springbank 40-year-old that I poured for him.
Oh, wow.
And then we drank some Port Ellen together. That bottle got broken the next morning by my son, unfortunately. Yeah.
That's tragic.
That's a thing. It happens. And it's my fault for leaving it out in a place where he could get to it. So he was goofing off. But anyways, that's the guy, right? Like he cares. He cares a lot. Like he buys, to answer your question about casks, he was the first person to ever do a whiskey in a Sakura cask, which is cherry blossom.
Mm-hmm.
He buys he only gets 3 Mizunara casks a year right now, but the Ariake Sangi only makes 100 of them. So it's still a pretty good takedown. And the reason why he doesn't buy more is just because they're like $3,800 a cask or something crazy. Like it's just for the oak. We did an acacia wood cask. Imbibe magazine, I think is either right or like I maybe need to be quiet about that. But he did a non-oak acacia wood that we released 600 bottles of for the US. But his specialty is sherry and brandy. Like there were 10 75-year-old sherry casks that came into Japan, meaning that they held sherry in them for 75 years and then were dumped, and then the empty casks were sent to Japan. He took down 5 of them. Konosuke got 1, and I don't know where the other 4 went, but he took down 5 for his own use, because he's not afraid to invest in wood. He channels Billy Walker in that regard. He loves experimenting with wood, and he's very patient. We did at my house last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, we actually did a tasting of 3 different cask samples that he'd given me over the last year and a half of the same barrel in the winter and in the summer, and then again in the winter, and all 3 of them were so different from one another because of the changes of the season and the maturation of the whiskey. So where he is, it's one of those where when we find something we like, we need to arrest the development quickly. It's because it'll change within 6 months drastically. And that was something that was kind of new to both of us. We didn't realize how stark the difference was until we had a little fun experiment.
Can you talk about the Sakura cask, which is delicious, by the way, but just like, have you had the same?
We're not trying it tonight because I don't have any. More is being bottled now. It's just not. Yeah. So the Sakura cask it's they are a Sakura blossom. They're cherry blossom trees that are grown in around his village. So his village is called Mizukamimura. It's in the Hitoyoshi River Basin. You know what? I can show you guys. Let me bring it up. But basically, it's known as the land of 10,000 Sakura trees, cherry blossom trees, and they get crazy, and they are all the trees that the casts are made from are taken from that area.
I think a lot of people think that somehow there's like cherry or cherry blossoms in the Sakura cast, though. You know what I mean?
No, it's just a wood. But if you know what Sakura mochi is, Mizukame. This might be it. This is not it. This is the Kyoto. So Ohishi is a pretty common name. It means big stone. So there's 3 different distilleries.
I thought it also meant delicious. No.
No, that's Ohishi. That's Ohishi. This is his stuff. So let me just zoom out, and let's see if I do layers. So you guys can all see this, right? Like, I'm assuming that you can. If you're not, speak up, please.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So here's the Kuma River. This is his. Actually, these are both. Oh no, that's a different one. That might be that's a different one. But Oisan's is both on this side. This is one. You can see my mouse too, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is one facility of his. This is where 2 sets of stills are. This is a barrel warehouse. This is a barrel warehouse. This is the original distillery from 1872. And then these are other barrel warehouses over here. And then now there's a new barrel warehouse that is right here. But this is all like the families around here is like the family's land for where they grow rice. A lot of the other rice is grown in this area. But as you zoom out,
why is it called the Shochu Brewery?
Because it's a translation thing. Like, it's just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
You got to remember, like, the word whiskey wasn't introduced in Japan until 1853, and it comes from the word ushikaba, meaning water of life. So if you like, we have different names for. It's like having the same name for a fucking turtle. Like, they call turtles kami. How do you say turtle? Kame. Kame. So turtle is kame in Japanese, but we call them turtle. Why don't we both call them kame? Because our vocabulary wasn't being exchanged at the time that we named the animal. So that's kind of like the same thing with whiskey, which is why when you start to get into the semantics of it, it really is silly. My argument is, if you had made a Pennsylvania rye and not known the word whiskey at the time that you made it, and you had it next to a single malt Scotch whiskey, they're fundamentally different products from a flavor standpoint. The only thing that links the two is the oak. Because if you try Pennsylvania rye, it's like dill and herbal, and whereas Scotch malt whiskey is a completely different thing. But we both call them whiskey. Why? Because the vocabulary came over with Irish and Scottish settlers when they moved into Pennsylvania to distill and started distilling there. Had the local population been making whiskey pre that word, they'd have had another word for it. And that's kind of what happened in Japan, is that in 1546, the word whiskey wasn't in existence yet in Japan, so the word didn't translate. Does that make sense, guys?
Yep.
Sorry, you got me on my rabbit hole again. So this is the beginning of the Kuma River. It goes up. Here's Mizukami Mura. This is his village, and this is it's shorter than you think, right? This is the graph is 500 feet. So if we go to 1 mile, right? Now we got 1 mile, and it's like 2 miles is where it goes. And this is where the source of the Kumagawa is, or the Kumamoto River, or the Kuma River. And the Kuma River runs all the way through the Hitoyoshi River Basin down into Hitoyoshi, which is over here, and this is where Fukano Distillery is. So now we're at 2 miles. So they're 28 miles apart approximately between the two distilleries. But if we zoom back in, let me zoom out because I lost my space. I just want to zoom back in and see if we happen to catch the. So all through here, these are all sakura trees. And you can't see them because it's the wrong time of year, but all through here, this is all sakura blossoms. So let me open a new tab and do a Mizukami Japan sakura.
Do they know like
No,
what flavor
river.
they were supposed to get from the sakura wood?
It tastes like sakura mochi, if you know what.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the other thing about sakura cask is that it doesn't have it's its own flavor. You can't Mizunara is easy. You say Mizunara smells like sandalwood, and you can describe Mizunara. Sherry, we say dates, figs, raisins. But when you say sakura, the only thing you can say is it smells like sakura. Like the snozberries taste like snozberries. There's no other way around it. But this is Mizukami Mura, and you can see like depending on the season, it's just nothing but sakura blossoms.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop sharing while I go through my pictures and find a picture for you guys that really kind of shows it. But we've tangented, right? I talked a lot. I haven't listened to anybody, and I'm just hoping everyone's enjoying whiskey as they're going through. If you guys want to talk about, you are in the chat. You're talking about what you're having with the sherry cask. That 10 really opened up after sitting a while. Cool.
Well,
So
I wanted to ask people about the two brandies, because the brandy casks, because
let's do it.
If I mean, I think you gave us the clue, because I tasted the non-aged first and then I tasted the 10-year. So I thought that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the 10-year seemed disappointing after the non-aged, but I think it's you gave us the clue to that.
I agree 100% with you, Kate.
Me too.
When I did the non-aged statement, it was kind of, this is nice. The mouthfeel was great.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, fucking delicious.
Yeah. And maybe it's psychological in that I expected the 10-year to be, well, significantly better. And yet I don't think it was significantly better. Maybe it's actually a little bit better, but I was expecting it to be much better. And so therefore it was a little disappointing. But
right.
Yeah, no,
just to be clear, it's not bad. Don't get me wrong. They're both good.
But I found that, and as I said, having had it sit a little bit, it seemed to open up a lot more than the 10-year. So I don't know if the 10-year was just a little cooped up before.
The motherfucker, where are these pictures at?
And the color on the two was very different too.
So the difference, so that might be, was the younger one darker, Henrik? Because I hadn't really taken a look. So that just has a couple of more first fill casks in it. First fill of the not new oak, but first fill of the brandy cask, and the 10-year might have a couple more refill casks in the batch.
Gotcha.
That's not exactly highly so. With this product, the Oisan, I don't have full control like I do with Fukano Distillery, which is a different challenge because Fukano has so much less casks. So with this one, it's more like, here's what we're kind of shooting for. Do what you can to hit it. Here you go. This is the picture I want to show you guys. This is my buddy. If you guys know Whiskey and Donuts, the guy known as Whiskey and Donuts, this is me and him. And so you can see we're at the river, and we're surrounded by cherry blossoms. Yeah, your Uncle Johnny. Let's see if I can find another one here that shows up. I don't see it. Here we go. This kind of shows it as well. You can see it goes all the way down. Here's the river here, and it goes all the way down. And when they're hitting, like not even all of them are blooming yet, because when it kicks off, this whole back hill will bloom as well. As far as the cherry blossoms go, but if you so Henrik, you're right. Like the no age statement might have had a couple more fresh cognac casks, whereas the 10-year might have had a couple more refill in there. And the 10-year does take a little while to open up. Ohishi whiskey does decant actually pretty well, I think, across all marks. But yeah, Kate, if you like the first one first, that's a $40 bottle at Costco in Van Nuys right now. I mean, it's just affordable, right? Or if you're not in Van Nuys, I think it's in 2 locations. It's in Van Nuys and it's in Torrance. They have it for $39.99 on that bottle.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, well, the reason why we can do it is 1, the yen is really weak right now, which helps us. 2, that's it. You get your autograph from. 2 is he's vertically integrated, right? Like when your distillery was built back in 1872, you have water rights, and you should have paid off the land by now that you're growing a lot of the grain on. So, he's a farmer first, and well, I guess he's a distiller first, but a farmer a very, very close second. And so when you're vertically integrated like that, your cost of goods are reduced quite a bit. And historically, there's not been a big rush. Northwest Florida, I would say maybe Total Wine. But Tony, if you DM me your contact, I'll connect you with Robert, who's our local person, and he'll get you sorted with whatever you need. Robert Sickler's a pretty cool whiskey guy.
Yeah,
and
Chris
he's
was
in Tampa.
asking about Connecticut as well.
Connecticut, I got 2 guys in Boston. One who goes to Connecticut every week. That is Skurnick, who manages that place. So again, just shoot me you know what, let me just do this. I'm going to put my information in the chat. That way anyone can reach me if they want. And then I am going to Scotland on Tuesday for 21 days. But
that must suck.
Man, it's going to be a lot of windshield time, because it's like getting from Razay to Wolfburn is 5 hours one way, all the way. And we're doing the whole portfolio. So, but that's my information. You guys, anyone who wants to get a hold of anything, just can like text me or email me or call me and shit. Just be mindful of the time change, and I'll connect you with the ImpEx person who's local, who can help you find it. And now I've tangented again. I've forgotten it. Oh yeah, but basically cognac casks historically weren't too expensive, which is useful. Sherry casks are expensive, but he takes a hit there because we asked him to have 2 expressions of differing flavor profiles at the same price point. And so he's willing to do it because he's a good partner in that regard. And that way people can experience like a more traditional style, which is the sherry, versus the brandy, which is a little bit more ethereal and more of like shows the rice distillate, right? Like if you guys, do you want to talk more about the brandy cask, or you guys want to talk about sherry cask?
That sherry cask is outrageous.
Yeah, it's great, right?
Yeah. I mean, I liked the brandy, right? And then I got to the sherry and I was like, wow, that blows me away.
Oloroso sherry casks, 7 years old. So again, the age statement is 8. The non-age statement is 7. So we did have I really wish he spoke English. I mean, Golan and Henrik got to meet him, so they got to experience a little bit of it. But he is like, we had a conversation about, we think that 4 years is a minimum that something needs to take to get over the hump in that region of Japan. The first 3, you get bitter notes, but in year 4, because of the accordion effect of the cold winters and hot summer, year 4 it turns over into like this sweetness, and the umami gets to shine, and it kind of takes a leap to its next level of being. It gets past puberty, if you will, and becomes more of what it's going to become. And so, for him, it's his name on the bottle, and flavor is paramount. So he, like, if it's got to be 7, then it's 7. Well, we lost Golan. Oh no, Golan's there. So we lost someone because Henrik moved, Golan moved. I haven't heard from you tonight, Golan. You all right?
You never need to stand behind something you didn't say.
Fair enough. And the sherry cask is great. Oloroso sherry cask. Every now and again, a Pedro Jimenez will be put in there as well, but it's almost always predominantly Oloroso. And they're not like the 1-year condition casks. They're usually pretty good they had sherry in them for a pretty good time to get where it needs to be. And then because I haven't said anything yet, I got to say it now. Jason, your back wall is just makes me smile, right? Like half them bottles say ImpEx on the back of them. And the ones that don't are at a lower level. So I don't know if you did that for me. If you did, I'm very appreciative. If that's the natural state, fuck yeah.
That's the natural state, Chris. That's the natural state of things. So
that's awesome. Thank you.
He's the same favorite in our group.
Yeah, so well, Sam is the James Brown of whiskey in the United States, right? Hardest working man in show business. He's working now. I think he's in Colorado right now working. But you can see same distillate, almost the same age, made by the same guy, same grains, just different types of cask, and it takes a very different turn. And some nights I get kind of hammered on brandy because it's nice and light, and I like to drink highballs with it. And then other nights I make old fashions and Manhattans out of the sherry cask, not because it's necessarily the right thing to do, because obviously bourbon's very good for that. It's just tasty.
I would say, drinking them neat. I tend more to the brandy cask in this instance.
Yeah, it's what you like. That's cool, man. That makes again. I want to. That's why we did two, right? That's why we did two different ones. Is to capture, to shotgun it. We want something. We want to be inclusive in what we're doing.
But and then we get the Islay cask, and now I'm just happy.
yeah,
are we ready finally? Have you done port cask yet?
No.
Is port cask on the list?
Port cask, Jane put that on the last.
We did.
Yeah, but I think we should do port first, don't you think?
Too late.
You know what? It's fine. You can side by side them. Yes, son. What do you mean, bud? Oh, hold on 1 second. The king is here.
Yes, he is.
I just realized I didn't set up the poll beforehand. I'm going to go do it real quick while we're all sitting here being thrilled by how awesome these are.
My son is he's got a book, and it's taken him through the history of there's a joke we have, right, about the time when times change. One night I was drinking with a guy, and we were talking about the past and the future, and he had a few in him. And he just looked me dead in the face. He goes, "Name me one whale oil baron." And he was right. I couldn't do it. I was like, I have no idea. He was exactly. And that's the thing, Chris. It's like, we think we know, we don't know. I bet that whale oil baron thought he had everything figured out. And then all of a sudden it wasn't whale oil anymore. And my son's book was about whale oil and the transition to I guess dinosaur oil or whatever we call it, plant oil.
So I think I got my glasses mixed up with what I thought was what. Because now I'm having the sherry. Yeah, that's good. That
looks like I just sold 2 more bottles of Henrik.
But my guess is it was the port cask. I was kind of it's all right. But the sherry cask that's nice.
The port cask is so that's the one that just got 97 points in San Francisco Spirits competition, which obviously I'm a salesman, right? So that's important to me because it's going to help me sell. Shit, I just lost you guys because I touched the mouse.
We're still
when
here.
Ohishi was here, like to give you guys scope as to how unfancy it was. When Ohishi was here, we were doing demos in Costco the last 2 weeks, and that's where Bilan and Henrik met him. He stayed in my office, right? Like there's a fold-out couch, and that's where because this isn't big money we're talking about, so we're not staying in hotel rooms. Him and his family are a guest of our family, and he and I would go up and work, and the kids would play, and then we did do a Dodgers game because you kind of have to, right? But it's like it was. So now I'm in the dining room area because my office is going to host Fukano-san the second I get back from Scotland. But the port cask is a combination of sherry and brandy cask for 6 years, and then and then it's moved over into the port cask for another 2 to 3 years. So this is one where it's a port finish. We don't have any fully port matured, and the reason why we don't is because it was one of those where, as this project was developing, he and I were drinking, and we wanted to see what we could do and what we could get. And he was able to get some casks, and he goes, "Well, we got 2 options, Chris. We can put new stuff in it and wait for forever, or I've got some more neutral, like second and third fill of the other ones that I can move over in there, and so that the original cask influence isn't overpowering, and so we can pick up the second cask pretty good." And so that's what we opted for.
Well, I feel like if you had aged it any longer in port, it would be too much.
Too much?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is pretty strong in terms of the port.
Yeah, it really does. The distillate really does pick up the character of the cask pretty quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's good. I like it. To me though, the sherry, of those two, the sherry is definitely more my favorite.
I like
Yeah,
both of them, but I just took a sip of the port and I was like, had to go back and look at the percentage on the label because it drinks so much hotter than the sherry, and it's almost 4 points lower.
So with the port, maybe fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I'm getting a cube of ice. This is the best part about moving my office to the dining room. The refrigerator's right there. Yeah, I feel like I'm in a.
There you go. It all works.
Just get a mini fridge for your bedroom. That's what I do. It's great.
Man, I think I may, like, if that happened, my wife might leave me if I put another appliance in here that had to do with booze. There's
No, it's just for water. Just for water and ice.
Yeah, that's not how anything in my life ever works. If it was designed for water and ice, it usually ends up with booze in it.
It's too funny.
So maybe a little bit of ice will bring it down. It's strange, right? Because
yeah, I was just surprised because it just hit me a little harder. I'm like, it's not necessarily a bad thing, and I think that the flavor, the palate is really nice. So I'm
and Jane, I think you're right. It tastes hotter, even though it's not. It tastes hotter, and I think that's probably why I find it like, oh, you couldn't leave it in the port casks much longer, right? Yeah.
No, I don't think you're wrong about that. It feels like it was probably pulled at just the right time.
Yeah.
I'm getting almost like a bourbon nose and aftertaste, which is probably why I like it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the port cask does give notes of like raspberry, right? It'll give those berry fruits like bourbon well, cherry, and raspberries. And because the port was a wine, it wasn't really breaking down the oak because it was in a lower ABV. So now this distillate's coming in and saying, "Hey guys, we're taking you," like they're robbing everybody in the bank, the tellers and the customers, taking flavor out of it. So that might have something to do with it. But I like. So with me personally, I have always I love the sherry and brandy, but for me, it's always been like the Islay cask is the one where something about the Islay cask and his distillate is where I find my happy place, and where I watch some cartoons and then get up to go pee and realize maybe I need to not have the Islay cask so much because they call it Nomi Yasui. It just goes down easy. Does anyone have any opinions of that one yet?
I thought it was such a great blend because I had him backwards, so I've already sipped it a couple of times before the port. I really was surprised at how well they go together.
The Islay cask and his distillate, yeah.
Yeah.
So 6-7 years in sherry and brandy cask. And then the last 2 years in well, now it's last 2, 3, or 4 in Islay casks. We don't know where the Islay casks are from, but I'm going to show you guys a picture if I could find it. But some of them it's one of my favorite pictures. If I can, man, I need to.
Reminds me of Lagavulin.
So one of them could have been, right, because there was some painted barrel heads. But the barcode stamps on a chunk of them were Lefroy 2007 vintage. Let's see, Kaito was. Go ahead. I missed that. One more time.
I said I would guess Lafroig, but yeah.
Yeah. So Lafroig is stamped on some of them. I'm trying to find I've got a great picture.
It's totally different juice from all the other.
Oh man, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Don't let me down, Bruce. I'm not gonna find it that way. I gotta think. Be patient with me while I find this because it is. I really think there was a while after my son was first born where we went to Japan like 3 times in 1 year, and so I can't look. Let's see, he's younger there, so it's gotta be 2020. Too old there. This is about right. Let's do. Cut his hair, so he's younger there. This is it. Where are you? It also goes to show. It'll also show you what type of distillery it is that it is. If you guys ever get to go, like it is truly a family distillery. There's no. I'll show you a video before the end that shows you what type of family distillery it is. But this has got to be it. Come on.
Is your kid fluent in Japanese?
Yeah, he goes to in Glendale. They've got 2 dual immersion schools, Dunsmore and Verdugo, and so he goes there, and then he just got back from being in Japan for an entire month.
So does he make fun of you when you speak Japanese?
He just gives me a side eye and ignores it. Like he knows. They all know.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. He's not super obnoxious about it. That's good.
No, he's just more like he gets more annoyed when I'm like, "Hey man, how do you say this?" He's like, "Papa, you don't speak Japanese." I'm like that. We're all aware of that, son. Man,
so while you're looking for it, Chris, can you say for the record the difference between pronounce the distillery name versus the word for delicious in Japanese?
Yeah, so Oishii, Oishi is delicious.
Delicious.
And OH or OO or just OISHI, one I at the end, but you can do it either OH, OO, or O8 or just one O. That's Oishi, which means big stone. So the emphasis is on the O.
Okay. Ohishi for the distillery. Ohishi for delicious. Got it. Thank you.
Kind of like Otani, right? Shohei Otani, Ohtani. Same thing. So this distillery is kind of funny, right? If you look at, I'm never gonna fucking find this. If you look at the distillery name on the bottle, it's OHISHI. But if you ever get his business card is spelled OISHI.
Right.
And the reason why is because about 40 years ago, they just dropped the H. Because remember, it's not their alphabet. So the family has always been kanji. And then they adopted like a Romanji spelling, and somewhere along the line between 1872 and today, that got lost. And so so that's just what it is. Like this is me and him drinking in Fugiya-san. You know what? Here we go. This is it. I got it right here. And then I can show you guys a couple cool videos too if you want to share. So these are the Islay cask. This here, it says that part, or this it looks like a person sitting with their arm out throwing a ball up. That says pito. And these tags right here are Lafroig barrel tags. And this is my son playing in the barrels. He just like, you can just walk through them, and it's not like where you got to stand away and there's blocks. I'll show you a few more pictures from the distillery since we're here. This is a much younger Oi-san, but this is cool. This is the original Koji room from 1872. And you can see how much taller he is now than the room, because his great grandfather would have been here. and every year they get better nutrition, better medicine. So each generation gets taller than the other. I think this is a great photo that shows the long history of the distillery and really what's going on there. Family businesses again, 6th generation. There's Kaito, much younger. And this is 7th generation from Fukano Distilleries, Seiichi Fukano. Everybody's friends, everybody gets along. We're all just trying to have fun together. Kind of like a picture of the village. So this is a little garage area, and then I think this is their house, but you can see there's nothing there. More casks, another same angle, an alternate angle. It's a village of less than 1,600 people. Benno, your question, this symbol here, that is O for big, and this symbol here is Ishi for stone. So and this is for alcohol, and I think this is for making or a company. So his name is Kazunori Big Stone. It's a pretty cool name.
AKA Kazunori Big Balls? Is that the translation in Japanese?
I don't know. This is,
Benno.
If you ever get a chance to go to Kumamoto, you get the strawberries, period. They're all locally grown. And then you got to be careful because like the kids they'll fight. Yeah, this is the, here you go. This is the village as well. This is by the river. But there's nothing there, guys.
What's going on with those barrels there?
This is Ariaki Sangyo. So this is them making casks.
Are they toasting them?
Yeah, this would be a new oak cask.
Oops.
This is the greatest video ever. I'll show you guys of why people don't like Mizunara casks, why Mizunara casks are so expensive. This is a Mizunara cask, right? They mark it with red tape where the leaks are because this hose is going in and doing a pressure test. So they're injecting water and they have a valve on it to do it. And it just leak. Like you can see all of this water along the side is just from where everything leaks. And then they've got to take it apart, take those staves out or turn them around and then rebuild it. So it takes them an average of 3 times to build a Mizunara cask. Like it's like every other barrel you can just put together. With this, here you can see it when it plays. You can see it dripping right here.
So is that because it's very hard wood, so it doesn't have enough give to just press together, or what's?
Oh, it's just porous.
Or is it just so porous? Yeah.
I think it's a combination of both. It's an oak, right? So it is hardwood, right. But it is also it's just knotty hardwood, so it's just got a lot of holes in it. I'll show you guys. I'm sorry, man. By the way, if I've let any of you down by being too casual, I apologize. It's just kind of more like I was looking forward to this tasting to kind of hang out and have a drink with you. And so I didn't really do it like I would have done if it was I treated this more like, you see, it's Henrik's fault. It's Henrik's and Golan's fault, right? Golan invited me to drink with Henrik a few weeks ago, and that just ruined it because and it was very casual and that was it. This is a fun picture because this one's going to throw Benno. He's going to have a million questions the second I show it.
Henrik really ruins a lot of things for me too. I totally get it.
Well, it made it great for me. It's just he's ruining this tasting for y'all now by having me bring out my casual game. This is his malt still. So this is where he makes his single malt whiskey.
What the hell is that?
Exactly, Benno. So this is I think I don't know where, maybe he got it from the Netherlands or something, but the actual copper is perforated, is a perforated part here and here. It goes through there. And that's where the copper contact happens. And so this is super precise. And it's only a 250 liter still, I think. And so he makes a little bit of whiskey. He's only made 30 single malt whiskey barrels to date. And if I go up to February of 2024,
but the main body on that is stainless steel, right?
The main body is stainless steel. Yeah, you don't need to be wasteful of the copper like they do in Scotland. Different rules. Let's see here. Sorry, I know you guys can
Because
see everything. It's fine.
The idea is to prevent sulfurization, right? And the copper
Yes.
helps with that.
Yes.
But you only need the copper to be where the vapor is, correct? That's what you're
I
saying.
think
It's inside the pipe going up, because that's where
Yeah.
the sulfurization happens. So you don't need the body of it to be copper.
Again, I'm not a chemist, but it sounds right to me, right? You just want that contact happening, and the vapor is going to be where it's most volatile. So you're going to get a lot of contact because the vapor particles are small and they're moving around a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Here's a great, like, everything is hand labeled. So that's one label. Now she's got to do the back.
Wow.
If you get a bottle and you look, you can even see that the ABV is handwritten on most of them. The Tokubetsu Reserve is not, because it gets even better. This is washi paper that he prints at his house, and they have to, that tear is done by hand.
I was about to ask about the Tokubetsu, actually. It's probably my favorite after having tasted all of these. Is there anything, I mean, I looked it up on the website, it means special cask, but is there anything particularly special about it, or?
So here I need to make a public apology because I've been teaching Tokubetsu wrong for 10 years. And on this most recent trip, I learned the error of my ways. So I always thought that he was born in 1974. He's not. He's born in 1975. So for this batch that you guys are drinking, 60% of the liquid was distilled back in 1975 by his father to celebrate his birth. It was then moved into oak cask for 27 years, and then moved out of oak cask and into a holding tank, which would have been like a cast iron. It's a ceramic coated holding tank enamel thing for another 23 years, a neutral vessel. So it's 50 years old in that regard, right? But we only count 27 because that's maturation in oak. Like, we're playing by whiskey rules. The other 40%, half of it was distilled 7 years ago, and half of it was distilled 10 years ago by Oisan. The reason why we add that is because the 27-year-old has dropped below 40%. So we need to add higher ABV to it to bring it back up above 40% ABV so that we can call it whiskey. We could call it whiskey in Australia at 38 point something, whatever it is, but not in America. And so we add the whiskey back in it to bring it here. Yeah, so that's what that is. So what you're getting in those notes is, it's a different beast, right? It's a butter bomb. It's pound cake butter, creme brulee. It's the sherry cask is almost muted. It's a little bit there on the end from the younger stuff, but really it's an umami bomb of it's like creamy and it's just a different beast, right? That's why I asked you to taste it in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end, because it changes with you. This is I'm completely open about it. This is one that Costco has for like $159 right now. Normally it's a $2 to $250 bottle. It's this is a whiskey where you start to drink it and you go, huh. And then then after about 10 minutes of drinking, you go, oh. And then in 15 minutes, you're like, you motherfucker. And then at 20 minutes, you're like, ah. It'll just wear you out, right?
Is the weird ones that you keep returning to. That's most of my collection. So
yeah, it's you get mad at it sometimes, depending on where your palate is, right? If your palate's fatigued at all, it doesn't taste like much. But if your palate's really switched on, then you start to really get into it. So it's a whiskey that it's a waltz of a whiskey. It's not like a big. The sherry cask from Ohishi is like classical style. It's big, it's easy. It gives you a big bear hug and kisses you all over your face and leaves marks all over your face, and is great. This one's a little bit more of a negotiation as far as, but it's a negotiation that's worth it, if that makes sense. Because when it's singing for you, it's really singing for you. Islay cask is kind of the same way, actually. You have that peat, but it's not big peat. It's not in your face. It's on the nose, and then it's on the mid palate. And then on the finish, you almost get marshmallow and the peat turns to ash. It's just a different. And then you get like you get that you get a yuzu kosho, like a yuzu pepper or a touch of white pepper. It's just it's a different thing as well. And personally for me, right, like I don't think you can out Scotch, and I don't think you can out bourbon. And they make wonderful whiskeys. They always have, and they're absolutely delicious. So, but what you can do is expand the pie, and that's what we want to do is expand the pie. Constant
You know, if
change.
he's ever bottled that 1975 distillate just by itself.
I tried it, and no, we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it because it's not above 40%. He can. Oh, I'm sorry, Benner. Yeah, you can buy it if you go to his distillery. I'm sure he'll sell you a bottle of it right out of the tank. But
How was
no,
it?
not anything that it was even bigger butter, right? Like to be honest, the 7 and 10 years needed because it adds a bit of freshness and structure and kind of tightens it all back up. That makes sense. Gives it some backbone that it lacks otherwise.
Oh, 75 is my birth year too, so that's why I was like, 50-year-old whiskey. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, remember, it's not 50. It's only 27 years in oak. It's in a holding tank now.
It was distilled in 75, and that's what we're sticking with.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as you guys are cool, I just want to make sure no one says, Chris, you told me that was 50 years old, and I'll be like, wait a minute, hold on now.
No. You've been very open that you cut it a little more than halfway through, but it was distilled in 75 in celebration of my birth.
No, it wasn't.
So a couple questions in the chat. Van Nuys and Torrance Costco's have the sherry, the brandy, and the Tokubetsu Reserve right now. I think everyone else is sold out. The Lockley Plowing, yeah, two very different beasts there, Jason. Oh, you're doing it. Okay, so two different peated Islay casks. So all you're missing is the M&H in the Filey Bay, and then you can have 4 distillates in ex-peated casks. That would be cool. How is it? Why don't you talk about that, Jason, if you don't mind?
Before we get too far into the weeds with something else, I'd like to have everybody come back on camera and raise a glass to our traditional toast. Birkin, Michael, you guys gonna come join us? Excellent.
I had to find the one glass that still had something in it.
I was trying to do it before we were all out of whiskey. All right, everybody's raise your glass, smile at the camera. Chris, thank you so much. This has been absolutely fabulous, like always.
Thank you. I want to move you guys over so I can see you on my, yeah, there we go.
Let's see if I got everybody on this one. Oh, hey, everybody's eyes are open. That's awesome. Okay, we're good. So photo accomplished. I feel proud. Okay.
Survey.
All right, I can do that too.
So this sherry, I see there's 2 different sherries I can find. One is X sherry 8 years, and the other is sherry cask. Which one is this?
I think you're doing let me find out my text to the team and I'll tell you. I think we're doing just regular sherry because we're doing the brandy 10-year. But I'll verify. Again, I don't ever want to mislead you guys. And that being said, I'll probably say something dumbass shit that'll be misleading in just a little bit. Let's see here.
I mean, the one I got at Costco just says cask type sherry. It doesn't say
that's the 7-year. The 8-year has an age statement. So we're doing the cask type sherry. This is the non-age statement, which is this bottle. It's the one that I'm drinking too.
And can I just say I just noticed right now. So they put on the label manually. Yes. And then they put a sticker on that says 750 milliliters.
Yes. So these are leftover labels from an order that went to Sweden. So the way that this works is we printed labels in the US. Do you want me to vote on this too? I'm part of this poll. Should I vote?
Yeah, please go ahead and vote. Pick your favorite. Pick your favorite child, Chris.
I had 2 and it was pretty much a coin toss between the 2 and just so surprising.
Oh no, it doesn't let me. Do I have to do the QR code or something?
Oh, you know what? Because you're a co-host, it probably won't let you do it.
It's okay. I don't want to vote on a favorite kid. I love all my children equally.
I hope your kid.
I say that because I only have
listening.
one, so I can be honest about it. And meanwhile, yeah, my wife's like, "What do you mean, all your children?" Like, we have one together. I only have one.
Only one that she knows about.
You know, so with the sherry cask, yes. So those labels were printed. So I used to print the labels in the United States, and I would just kind of send them in the mail to them because those labels in Japan would be 10 times more expensive. I was able to pay 16 cents a label here, and in Japan they would have been 10 times. They'd have been like 5 times more expensive. So we did a run for Sweden, but you have minimums that you have to hit, and so the excess over the run versus what he was bottling are 700. So if you peel that off, Henrik, it'll say 700 underneath. But we didn't want to just throw the labels away, so he said, "I'll just put stickers on the top." Yeah. I guess
CACFE.
Yeah. But the CRV is a new thing. You needed to. That's a California thing, and so that the shipment of those bottles came in before that was. Well, those bottles were bottled before all that was done, so that's something we're having to do on a lot of bottles right now. Jane, it looks like the poll is done. Do you share it or do I need to? Because I hit a button that made it disappear.
I will share it. I was going to say, do you want to take a guess at what the favorite was for tonight?
Me? I think I saw it. It was but I can't remember. Probably sherry cask, right? Sherry or brandy no age statement. Oh, brandy cask only got one. Sherry cask one, and Islay cask.
Sherry and Islay tied at 3.
It's okay. This is great. I mean, like, obviously, I've let you guys down with the brandy cask. I'll up my game there for the next batch.
It's not a letdown at all. They're all good.
Yeah,
I like it when it's distributed across all. You know, that's my style. I don't know.
I could have easily voted for the brandy no age statement as well.
Yeah,
I
enjoyed that.
I agree. This one was one of those. I mean, I picked Islay because that's what I'm supposed to do, and it was actually really good. But yeah, I mean, the sherry or the brandy. I mean, I wouldn't have been upset about if that was my only choice.
What's fun with these also is and I highly recommend you do it. Is take them and blend them. Take one of the bottles behind you, Tony, that you're not necessarily that you're okay with manipulating, right? It's not like your favorite as it is, and put some of one of these in it. Put some sherry cask in it and watch how it changes. It really does change what happens with the whiskey, because these whiskeys carry umami, right? They have that like texture, that fifth sense to them. And when you put that into other whiskeys, they both complement each other in a fun way. I did an experiment with some bourbon where I did some Ohishi port cask and bourbon together, and they married quite nicely. Sorry, Burskin. Have a great evening, and thank you for being here.
Guys, we also have a couple of t-shirts to raffle off.
Oh yeah, that's right.
They are super uncomfortable.
They're so soft. They're soft and fabulous. I have a couple of larges and an extra large. So we'll see what happens. So
Can I win my own shirt back? Does it work that way?
You could win your own shirt back. You're on the list, I think. If you're not on the list, I'll put you there. Hang on.
And next time, Chris, can we get some adult sizes, please?
We don't like it.
Adult sizes would be nice.
What is an adult? So you mean like double XL?
Something that isn't
American double XL, probably Japanese triple XL.
Oh, so it's not Edo. It's not like that. I made these in America. These are tri blends.
I may have put my finger on one at Jane's house when I picked up my samples, and oh boy, they're nice and soft.
Well, I'll tell you this: take Henrik and Golan off the raffle. I'll get them both these shirts. I'll get them both these shirts because they did me a real solid. They did me a real solid. So if you guys win, just respin.
Okay. Sorry, I've got to move. There it is. on my screen, everything's all on top of everything else.
Yeah.
If you guys want to check the list here and see, oh my God, this is going to drive me bananas.
Well, there's if it's just about the people that are here, it's a very small group compared
I
to
know
what
it's
you
a
have.
very small group, so I'd have to take a whole bunch of stuff off of here.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, while you're doing that, I just want to give a shout out to Henrik and Galan again, because when Oisan was in town, like again, this is a small brand, right? It's a small family distillery. There's nothing crazy here as far as this goes. And when we were doing the Costco demos, they both really helped out to spread the word for people to know. And for the rest, they came on day one. They came on day two, and the rest of the trip, we had people coming in mentioning what they had done for us, which was huge. So I'm truly grateful to both of you for that.
That's good. So I'm an influencer. Ooh, I need to quit my job and announce that I'm an influencer.
Not that many people came in, but yeah.
Yeah, don't quit your day job.
Well, actually, I saw Henrik's post, and I was like, oh, I wish I could go. Yeah, but so he did. Oh, look.
Now I win.
Now you win. That's hilarious. Okay.
Give shout out to Bino because he helped to post the stuff on all the Whiskey Geek in the town.
Yes, Benno, I did. Thank you, Benno. We had someone mention your name specifically from them.
Well, it knows who the real winners are. Both Golan and Henrik won.
Your name wasn't on there. Sorry, man.
Oh, no problem.
It's that. There we go. Shuffle it again. All right. So now we know where we have to go again here.
I was trying to figure out if I won or not.
Guess what, Tony? Nope.
Oh, man.
Hey, Bino.
Benno, I have large and extra large.
XL.
Okay. And two more.
Birthday candle on my name.
We must be out of double XL because I'm pretty sure I told the office to send one.
Jane.
All right, I actually have one. That's awesome. Okay. And
Let's see. 1 out of 7.
Okay. I have one more XL and I have 2 larges. Christopher?
You talking to me?
Awesome. Yeah. XL, please.
Okay. So that I got large left here. Bethany. Woohoo! You get a large, my dear. Awesome.
Hey, go ahead and spin one more time. Give mine to the next person.
Okay.
Spread the love.
Ben, I'll see if I can get a double XL.
That's all good. All right, John.
Hey, John Foley. You want an XL or a large? Large, okay. There we go. All right, I got 2 larges and an XL going out to you guys. Please remind me, because somewhere I need to make a note or I will forget.
While you do that, so a couple of weeks ago when Chris was at my house, we decided that we're going to do a Portuguese gathering at my house at some point. VTS IRL event.
Did we turn the recording off, or what are we doing?
We're still sort of here. Remind me again.
I want to show you guys one more video before you turn the thing off. So
yeah, I was gonna say one more thing. Let me stop sharing. Who else did I miss? I got Bethany and John, and Benno gave up his. So who did I not write down?
Christopher?
Yeah,
Christopher, thank you.
Christopher Glenn had one. Thank you.
That was it. Okay, now I got it. Let me stop sharing. If I can find it. There we go.
See these videos.
All right, so I want to show you guys what I meant when I said family distillery earlier. I'm going to share this real quick. So this is Tomoko Oisan's wife, and this is their daughter, Rasena. She'll be the 7th generation if she chooses to be. But this is her, you know, this is 2023, so she's 8 years old at the time. That's his father. That's the big boss. But she's running the malt cake. Like she's doing it. Like it is a proper family distillery with all of
What
them.
was that coming out of there exactly?
He calls it malt cake. It's the spent draft from the mashing
The spent
of
draft.
the single malt. So
Wow.
when they're done extracting the sugars out of the malt, they pull it down into a thing and it takes it off for a farmer to go feed.
Mm.
But I just thought that was really cool because I kind of, you know, all of a sudden he said something and the whole family just kind of congregated to do the next step of the distillation process. I'm like, she is 8 doing this. It's pretty awesome.
Great.
So any other questions for me, right? Like 7-year sherry cask, 10-year brandy cask, 8-year brandy cask. Tokubetsu Reserve is all sherry cask, but 27, 7, and 10, 60, 20, 20. Port cask, we talked about. Islay cask, we talked about. I'm here for you.
Where do we find the Islay cask and the brandy cask?
In
Southern California.
Remedy
will have it. That's right. Remedy will have it. And Vendome in Toluca Lake.
Okay. Right
down the street from us has it. Vendome was my first job in LA, so I always like to give them a shout out. Back when I was sleeping on a couch on Lima Street.
Good stuff.
So I know you can't describe the Sakura because it's so unique, but can you maybe talk about the qualities?
Yeah, I can. It's just when I talk about what I get from it, it doesn't always sound appealing. So let me preface by saying when you talk about whiskey in Japan, when you talk about whiskey in America, there's certain words you don't use because the Americans frown on them. So like we don't ever use the word sour, we don't ever use the word bitter. We always like to use other style tasting notes. That's just our culture. In Japan, that doesn't matter. Sour and bitter are equal as sweet and salty, and it just is, right? It is. So the Sakura cask I would describe as being just a twinge bitter. It's got a little bit of bitterness from the oak on it, which you also get from like new oak in some bourbons. But what I really get that doesn't ever help me sell it, that I like to talk about is, again, I'm from the South, right? And I'm used to I used to work as a plumber, and I would go into rich people's basements. And if they had like these old houses that were like 100 years old and they had a basement in there and maybe they had some old books in there and they had it would get that old basement-y feel, but not in a bad way, but in like that very fancy library style, if that makes sense. And so that's another aspect that Sakura has to it that I personally get. And as far as
that kind of musky book smell?
Yes.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Right? But the thing is, like, you say musky book smell and everyone's like, the fuck?
No, does that not sound amazing to the people here on the call?
No, it's weird he says that because I bought the Sakura cask and I like it, and that's not at all what I get off it.
Oh, okay.
So what do you get, Benno? Like this
is good.
To me, it's got, and ironically, you know, since people are always saying this, but like it's got to me a sweetness and a bit of like floralness to it and a lightness to it that's really nice, and that I, you know, kind of really like because that's more my flavor profile. Everything you just described is not my flavor profile. And if I tasted that, I would be like, F this stuff.
Now, to be fair, we could be talking about 2 different batches because that's right. Because the Sakura cask is also matured in sherry and brandy first. And then, so if you had a higher brandy batch, that might be that. And the other thing is we could both just be talking about an old book about flowers, maybe written by some scientists. Back in the...
I agree with Bino. I just had a Sakura next to me, Zenara, from last Friday. And
oh, you did? Okay. So
it was very flowery on the nose. That follow into the taste, and it's more like a nectar that you,
Yeah.
if you take a wild flower and suck it, kind of. That's kind of a taste that I have it.
All right, so let's retract what I said. Let me go get a Sakura cast and let me, because I'm all about this, right? Like I have something in my head, and if I need to switch it, I'm always trying to better myself. So let me do that now.
I may just have to leave the house and walk over to your house.
How far apart do you guys live?
8-minute walk.
8-minute walk. We're like 3 blocks away from each other. We just found this out though.
Vino T brought from his trip 2 samples of bottle from Japan. One Sakura, one Mizunara. Interesting to taste them next to each other.
What do you get on the Mizunara?
A lot of bitterness.
That's definitely not something I would like.
But bitterness in a bad way, it sounds like.
I don't know. I don't know if it was because I tried some Mizunaras that I was liking. This one particularly was kind of, it was okay. It wasn't the Sakura was more fascinating, and again, it was more fascinating because it was different. So
yeah,
I'm not
and actually,
saying...
part of the reason I'm going to say that, and I posted a link in the chat if anyone is curious and wants to try it. The Amazon link I posted is to Sakura Mochi. So it's basically...
Post a link to my bottle, Benno. Shit.
What's that?
I said post a link to the bottle.
Oh, wait. Here's my Sakura cask. Here, I'm going to...
Well, we have that at Remedy, by the way. The Sakura bottles at Remedy.
Oh, okay, cool. Remedy's like their selection is just amazing.
How do you tell which batch?
They're close to us as well.
How do you tell which batch you have?
By the ABV.
43.5?
See, I have 43. I have 43.3.
Because this one says high time on the back?
You have a high time single cask.
Oh, is that why?
What does Golan have?
High time had a single cask. Yeah, Golan.
I taste someone that bought it from Japan on Friday.
Oh, okay.
So, I have it in my glass now, and the boys are right. It is much more floral than I remember. I still get a little bit of the basement that I recognize from Georgia, but
yeah, right. I do get some of that on the nose when you describe that now that I poured it. Interesting.
I love it, right? Because it's like it's not a, I don't think it's a flaw, right? It's you know, when you're little and you walk into a place that has history like that, you're just like, wow.
It's a feature, not a flaw.
So what did you say the ABV was on the one you have?
Mine is 43.3.
Yeah. The one I have, the high time one, is 43.5.
Okay, and the one they have at Remedy, or the one they list at Remedy on the website, says 87.2 proof.
You can't trust that because every batch is different. So they list it once, and then we don't necessarily notify them when a new one goes in.
Gotcha.
Because it's taxed on a federal level, not on the only time I have to tell someone is if it goes above 100, because then the California state tax changes.
I guess to be fair to Chris too, though, I would say that I revise my notes a little bit. There is a bit more umami and stuff on it than I remember. But then again, I've also had this bottle open for years. So I don't know how the oxidation plays into it. And of course, I've been eating that Sakura mochi, which is definitely sweet. And so that's probably colored some of my perception of it. So
oxidation is good to see your face, by the way, Benno, as opposed to your profile. The oxidation is all it ever does is just make it more creamy, I think, because like we have that Tokubetsu Reserve has been oxidizing for 27 years or 23 years, right? It's not like it's in a full proof, like it's in a container, but you know, it's not filled up to the top with no ullage and like completely sealed. It's oxidizing for sure, and it gets more creamy and as it gets older. The long ester chains, I guess, are breaking down or whatever it is. If you guys ever get a chance to go to the south of Kumamoto, there's a place called Hayashi Shuzo, and he's got 60-year-old stuff that's only ever been in just like a clay pot. And so you can taste that, and it's just, his distillery was built 400 years ago. That's a different thing.
Do you pick up minerality off stuff that's been in clay pots?
Not really. It just it's
because the clay's porous though, right?
Yeah, I guess maybe it's not clay, but I think it's clay, with a glaze on it. So it's
okay.
Right. So it stays neutral.
Hopefully not a lead glaze.
To be honest, who knows?
Yeah, who knows? You'd have to send it to your chemist friend to test it.
Yeah, but that stuff's been, the ceramic things that it's in, they're over 200 years old, and the stuff's been in there for 60 years. Like I said, when I got to his distillery, I was like, this looks kind of like the castle. He's like, yeah, probably built by the same guy.
But I mean, isn't that the problem with those ceramic jugs of bourbons from like the 40s and 50s? They're nice to have, but you shouldn't drink it because they were using lead in the glaze.
That's the glass too. They used to have leaded glass, so it was it's fine. It is what it is. Like I'm a child from the 70s, right? They used to burn leaded gasoline, and I would stand behind the car because it smelled good. No, I'm not a genius. My son is incredibly smart, and I can see of what maybe could have.
They've actually there's
not been chewing paint as bubble gum.
There's been a few articles about they actually tracked to a very high degree the correlation between areas that were exposed to leaded gas and gas fumes around freeways and problems with developmental stuff in children and lower test scores and IQs and everything, because that's what it does. Yeah, it's real.
That explains a whole lot about my life.
It's fun, but yeah. So that's the Sakura cask. Mizunara cask is the one though. I'm gonna bring some Mizunara cask in next year, and those will be super affordable. We did this one. I'm gonna do it's not even a humble brag. I'm just gonna fucking brag. We were doing this. When we were doing this, obviously we were getting grief from folks. And so I went to a friend of mine, took me to dinner at Republique in LA. And they had a bottle of Yamazaki 18-year Mizunara cask. And I had my little 11-year Mizunara cask from Ohishi Distillery. The Yamazaki bottle was, $2,000 at the time. It was like between $1,500 to $3,500, depending on who was trying to sell it. So we'll say $2,000. My bottle was $99.99, and I had it with me because I wanted the guys to try it because I was like, "This is on the way," and I'm very proud of it. And the buddy I went to dinner with was friends with Sean, who used to run the beverage program. So Sean was very kind and brought the Yamazaki 18 out so we could do it side by side. And they went toe to toe, and it was fine. And all the boys were like, "You know what, Chris, you should be proud. This is good." And given that it was a $1,700 difference or a $1,900 difference between the two bottles, they're like, "Yeah, you're punching way, way above your weight." Arguably, was the Yamazaki 18 Mizunara cask better? Probably, but it was like this, right? So the Mizunara cask, like what you guys saw with this distillate being so light and what it picks up on the cask, port cask in just 2 to 3 years. Sherry cask in 7 years, Mizunara cask in like 3 or 4 years. It really does take on the qualities of the Mizunara cask super fast. Yeah, super fast. Yeah, Jason, it wasn't 2K better. Unless you're a billionaire, and then 2K is like it doesn't matter. But
so it turns out the reason Mizunara is so leaky is because the tylose that forms bubbles that help stop water from passing through is much lower in Mizunara than other oaks. And also because it has weird growth patterns, they have to go along the grains, and so that makes it harder to get staves. So yeah, it's more porous and really weird.
I think what that has to do with is them growing in such cold climate. They want to be able to expel the water as it freezes, right? So that they don't pop. And that's why. But it really does it makes a delicious cask.
No, if you like sandalwood, which
Sandalwood is is Mizunara, is the Mizunara tasting note. It's great.
Yeah, it
Everybody
reminds me too
remembers-
much of incense my parents used to burn
Yes.
as a kid, and
Yes.
I'm not a fan.
Dude, all you need is some Pink Floyd and a bottle of Ohishi Mizunara, and you could be young again
Oh my God.
without
That's
damaging
Hi,
funny.
your
Nye,
lungs.
and you're set.
Hearing Alice in Chain backward.
That's right.
Oh God. Oh my God. Too funny.
That's
All right.
funny. Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and kill the recording. We can hang out and chat, but I don't want this to run forever. So thank you, Chris. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. We'll see you on the next one.